If you're ready to explore the Hebrew roots of your Christian faith, then grab your Bible and let's get started.
Shalom, and welcome back to Torah Studies. So I want to do this little plug-in first. So we are now on the third day of Feast of Tabernacles, and at sunset, we'll be entering into the fourth day of Feast of Tabernacle. So I'm hoping that everyone has a chance to enjoy this week and really getting to understanding what Tabernacle is, and follow me on Instagram as we kind of talk a little bit about that. And of course, we had the first day teaching on the Feast of Tabernacle on last Sunday. And then, of course, the teaching on the 8th day will be coming on this Sunday. So I'm really hoping that everybody is digging into the word of Yehovah. So back to the Torah studies. We are getting close to the end of Genesis. We have about 5 chapters that are left. So I encourage you to pay close attention as we're finishing the ending of these chapters, because it is the details that we miss. So we need to be able to point out the details that will help us understand Exodus. So understanding Genesis is a great start to understanding Exodus. Asking all your questions and finding out everything in Genesis is important to understand for Exodus. And then, of course, Exodus, help you understand Leviticus, Numbers, all those type of things, and rightly divide the word of truth. We have to set a foundation of understanding the biblical truth. Welcome to Reconcile, the kingdom we're working towards growing in harmony of the whole word of truth. My name is Patrice Robinson, and I appreciate every last one of you who's able to stop by here on today. If this is your first time visiting, I welcome you. If it's your 5th, 20th, 50th, or 400th time, I most definitely welcome you. Everyone is greatly appreciated here. I'm hoping that you are not just stopping by, that you have taken the time out and looked through the YouTube channel, and especially the foundation, I think it's called the 5 foundational picks. That is foundation to understand what this ministry is about. So if you're taking a look at that and you visited me, I greatly appreciate that. But I'm hoping that you're ready to join this family that does not mind searching the scriptures, does not mind challenging religious system teachings that we have been under for hundreds of years. A family that's open to being a lifetime student of the Bible. And most of all, you're ready to explore the Hebrews of the Christian faith. You have to be ready for this. And it is really easy to join this family. And all you have to do is hit the subscribe button. Hit it down below. Don't forget the bell, because the bell lets you know when I am live, any announcements or any updates that's coming from this ministry. And of course, that is not the only way you can support this ministry. The other ways is making comments below, send emojis, share links when you're live and when you're on the replay. Because my motto is, if you're learning something, someone else can learn something. Give me a thumbs up. Let me know that you like the biblical content that you are receiving. And also let YouTube know they need to send this out to more people, this ministry. Follow me on Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, Spotify, and of course, YouTube and YouTube podcasts for those who have that paid membership. Shop in the online digital shop. Now, the digital shop right now is 50% off. I'm actually going to share my screen for those of you who are visitors, so you can take a look at the shop. And yeah, yes, I have it. So this is what the shop looked like. So every item in this digital online shop is 50% off. This is a great time to purchase your Exodus workbook, because we will begin Exodus on November the 21st, and Ruth will begin on November the 11th if everything goes according to schedule. Ruth workbook, let me see if I can locate that. It is now $2.50. It's 12 pages. It's digital. It's a digital download. You don't need to wait for me to send a workbook to you in the mail. You can download it in your iPad or whatever reader that you have, or you can do it by paper and download the entire workbook. And then Exodus, if I can find Exodus, it's also a good idea to buy Genesis if you haven't. All of them are on sale. Exodus is 54 pages and it's on sale for $6. So this is also a great time to purchase those two because we will be heading towards those two books in the month of November. We will be finishing up the year with those two books. If things continue to go as planned, if Yehovah continue to tarry. So I just want to give you information about that. I'm going to stop sharing. So that is the digital online shop that's available to you. Donate in the love drawer. Donating in the love drawer is you supporting me and partnership with me and growing this ministry. There's a lot of work towards ministries, a lot of research books, of course, that I invest in and to learn a lot of these things. But partnership with me is important as far as teaching the gospel of the kingdom, spreading it as far as the sea, the north, south, east, and west. Foundation of the biblical truth, because we know that many denominations, non-denominational religious systems do not take you verse by verse in the Bible, because it's difficult to answer questions if you don't know how to put them together. So we are in that first phase, teaching the foundation of the Bible and teaching how to connect those together. And of course, most definitely, I pray that everyone do have the Holy Spirit to actually discern what is biblical truth or not. Now, all we just talked about as ways supporting the ministry, you can take a look at that after the live premiere in the description box. And of course, that's available during a replay again in the description box. Don't forget the end of the teaching. You have opportunity to ask questions about the teaching that is presented today. I encourage you to make comments. I encourage you to share throughout the teaching. And of course, we also encourage respectful commenting, because even if you don't agree with someone, there's still a way to be respectful. Now, we always begin our teaching with an overview of the teaching, the previous chapter. So last Tuesday was the day of atonement. So we did not have Torah Studies. We had that teaching. So you can take a look at that if you missed that. So we did Genesis chapter 44. So I'm going to bring up my sheet so I can share with you guys. Actually, I should be letting you know that after today's teaching for Genesis chapter 45, it is time for your check-in. So those of you who have a workbook, it's time for your check-in. You can also share that information, because this is where you should be digging deeper in those 4 to 5 chapters, probably 6 chapters in between. And for those of you who purchased the Judges workbook, it's also time for your check-in, which we will be in Judges chapter 17 on Saturday. So it's important to do your check-ins, because these are things you need to be recognizing, or you're able to find the Messiah. Naturally, I just thought of another category that I need to add into the book. So when I do updates to the workbooks, there's something else that I'll be adding in that. But did you find the Messiah? What are your next steps? What do you need to pray? What stood out for you in these chapters, and how, and if you applied it, what have you applied so far from what you have learned? All these are important to understand on how to apply the word of Yehovah in your life personally. So we are going to go over the worksheet for Genesis chapter 44. Genesis chapter 44 was all about Benjamin. That's totally what it was about. It was about Joseph's relationship with Benjamin. So Joseph, and remember in Genesis chapter 43, he had a dinner with his brothers in his home, and everyone was, the brothers at a different table, the Egyptians at a different table, and Joseph was at a different table. So they were leaving, and he did it again. Joseph set up his brother again, but this time it was a particular brother. I'm sorry, there's a net flying around again. A particular brother, is Benjamin. So the silver cup was found in Benjamin's, where he was setting up Benjamin's bag. And so this cup is something that's familiar for divination. And so the divination is something that the Egyptians do. So when they came to Joseph, Joseph said, "This, don't you know that I can use divination?" He totally wanted them to believe through and through that he was an Egyptian. It was not that he actually did divination. He just did not want his brothers to know who he was at all. And so this is why he said it, because we know through the Bible evidence of Joseph being led by the Spirit of Yehovah. So his brothers said, whoever had the cup must die, and the rest of us can be slaves, because they was for sure that they did not have this item in their possession, but they did. So what was going on was the very thing that Israel, the father, was afraid of happening, that he was going to lose Benjamin to Egypt. Now, Judah took responsibility. He took responsibility of Benjamin, because remember, he told Israel, I will be responsible for Benjamin, but he also took responsibility of what he did to his brother Joseph. He thought he was repaying for what he did. Now, because Judah was able to stand up and say, basically, standing up and taking accountability and trying to protect Benjamin, in this conversation, Judah was letting Joseph know, unaware that it was Joseph, how Israel, the father, felt when he thought that his son was dead. Joseph had no idea how his father felt, or what his father knew until this happened. This was the first time he heard it. And Judah continues. You see, I have a lot of notes for Genesis chapter 43. So Judah continues, and he offered himself in the place of Benjamin and also for the rest of his brothers. Now, this also leads me to the questions that I had. Now, I did have one question. What was Joseph's aim? My thought was that he really just wanted Benjamin, because remember, he told him, I'll take Benjamin, and he was sending the other brothers away to go to their father. He had no intention, I don't believe, of letting the brothers know who he was. He was just going to keep Benjamin and send the rest on their way. But also, that was that one question. But I also find as an insight fascinating that Judah is the one who offered up himself as a servant. When we know the master, the Messiah, comes from his bloodline, offers himself as a sin offering, paying the death penalty for the world. I just find it fascinating that this is the bloodline that the Messiah is coming from, for someone who was willing to sacrifice his freedom to servitude in order to save his brothers from this, preventing that from happening to Benjamin and the rest of them. Now, my question for all of this, when does the conversation with Israel the father comes up about his sons selling Joseph, their brother, into slavery? I'm hoping that we'll be able to answer the questions in these last 5 chapters. Hopefully, if we don't, we don't. But that's the question that I had. And we're going to see if that question is going to be answered as we continue on. So I had no cross-reference and no word study. Of course, I'm going to keep my sheet up as we continue as an encouragement for you to share. Share your thoughts, your insight, your application, what key points that you had, any cross-reference, and any word study that you did. that will enlighten this community and this family. We are to learn from one another. Not one person knows it all. So I'm going to leave my sheet up for a while as we continue on. So make sure you have your Bible before you, all your writing utensils that you need, every highlighter with all you need, and you have your workbook or your worksheet or a sheet of paper. And we're going to get straight into it. We are on Genesis chapter 45 on today. Then Joseph could not refrain himself before all of them that stood by him, and he cried, "Cause every man to get out from me." And there stood no man with him, while Joseph made himself known unto his brethren. And he wept out loud, and the Egyptians and the house of Pharaoh heard. And Joseph said unto his brethren, I am Joseph. Doeth my father yet live? And his brethren could not answer him, for they were troubled at his presence. And Joseph said unto his brother, Come near to me, I pray ye. And they came near, and he said, I am Joseph your brother, whom you sold into Egypt. Now therefore be not grieved, nor angry with yourselves that you sold me hither. For Elohim did send me before you to preserve life. Joseph at this time is overwhelmed with emotions. And I do believe he became overwhelmed with emotions because of Judah. Judah was willing to serve as a servant to ensure Benjamin gets back to his father. Not only Benjamin, but the remaining of his brothers. I believe Joseph's heart changed when he witnessed this with his brother. Again, Judah is the one who came up with the idea to sell Joseph. Joseph heard that his father did not take it well and thought he was dead. So he had no clue again this entire time. Joseph clears his place and reveals who he is to his brothers. He wept so loud that even the Egyptians heard, and everyone heard about everything that was going on. Now, at this time, the brothers were troubled. They were terrified. They were like, what is happening right now? The one that you sold, he is now the governor of Pharaoh. You thought he was gone forever, but he stands before you. I'm sure their hearts were pounding so fast. Finding it interesting that Joseph is already trying to ease their minds, set their minds at ease, saying, do not distress yourself. Elohim sent me here for you. In other words, what you did for evil turned out for my good. This is why Joseph was not killed but sold. Yehovah already had a plan when he was young, become a ruler. So it was best for Joseph during that time to meditate on the things that Yehovah has showed him. Meditate on the word. Keep remind yourself of the things that he have showed you. That's kind of what we have to do. We have to be patient because the things that he does show us that come from Yehovah, they do come to pass. We might not understand how it's going to come to pass, when it's going to happen, but it does come to pass. We just have to be patient. Verse 6. For these 2 years have the famine been in the land, and yet there are 5 years, in the which there are still neither be earing nor harvest. And Elohim sent me before you to preserve you posterity. It's like your descendants, preserving your descendants, in other words, in the earth, and save your lives by a great deliverance. So now it was not you that sent me hither, but Elohim, and he had made me a father to Pharaoh, and a lord of all his house, and a ruler throughout the land of Egypt. So he began to share what Yehovah has shared to him that's been going on for the past 2 years. There still won't be any harvest or anything because it was revealed to Joseph about these 7 years of famine through the dream of Pharaoh. Joseph has now, at this point, accepts and understands that he was sent by Yehovah to Egypt. Never mind how you got there, but you were sent there. I believe he truly understands at this moment about his dream being the ruler over his brothers. He wanted to forget about what happened to him. I truly believe that, to say. And I believe that because how he named his sons in Genesis chapter 41, verses 51 to 52, he named his sons. So he named Manasseh. Manasseh's name was because Elohim has made me forget all my hardship and all my father's household. Forget all my hardship and all my father's household. Forget all of that. And his second son, Ephraim, this is what he said that name means. Elohim has made me fruitful in the land of affliction. So where he was afflicted, remember he ended up in jail because of his the wife that claimed that he was trying to take advantage of her, and she screamed. So he still was in affliction there. So he was trying to move on with his life until he saw his brothers. And then when he saw his brothers, all of his focus began to focus on one person, and that's Benjamin. I'm pretty sure he did not want or fearful that it did or possibly can happen to treat Benjamin how they treated him. Now, I do find it interesting that he was like a father to Pharaoh. It's like, was Pharaoh younger than him, or just a young person? Or maybe it was the spirit of wisdom that was upon Joseph that allowed him to build that relationship that Pharaoh was looking up to him in that way. So those are the couple of questions that I had about that in particular. Genesis 45, verse 9. Haste ye and go up to my father and say to him, Thus said thy son Joseph, Elohim hath made me Lord of all of Egypt. Come down unto me and tarry not. And thou shalt dwell in the land of Goshen, and thou shalt be near unto me, thou and thy children, and thy children's children, and thy flocks, and thy herds, and all that thou hast. And there will I nourish thee, for yet there are 5 years of famine, lest thou and thy household and all that has come to poverty. So Joseph went straight into planning. So this is what you're going to do. You're going to go, you're going to get my father, you're going to come back here. And you're going to move to Goshen. I already had a place in mind. The place is going to be near him. We got 5 years left. And if you don't come and do all the steps basically that I'm telling you, you and your household is going to suffer poverty because you still got 5 years to no harvesting of any grain at all. So he went straight into planning. He didn't wait, so he knew what to do. Verse 12. And behold, your eyes see, and the eyes of my brother Benjamin, that it is my mouth that speaketh unto you. And you should tell my father of all my glory in Egypt, and of all that you have seen, and you shall haste and bring down my father hither. And he fell upon his brother Benjamin's neck and wept, and Benjamin wept upon his neck. Moreover, he kissed all his brethren and wept upon them. And after that, his brethren talked with him. So he's basically saying to you, I don't know whether the brother was still in shock or disbelief, but you and Benjamin see that it's me that speak to you. So I was like, Are they getting that he has to like wake you up? This is me speaking to you. Let my father know that I'm in Egypt and what's going on in Egypt. How I'm basically that he's the governor of Pharaoh of Egypt. He and Benjamin embraced with tears. I am pretty sure he was so happy to see Benjamin was alive. He was healthy. He was doing well. Then he and the other brothers embraced and they talked something that needed to be done. I would have wanted to hear their conversation, to see this reunion, to hear what they said to Joseph. Was there any apology? I mean, just to have, just to be in the midst of that, I would love to have most definitely seen that. Verse 16, and the famine thereof was heard in Pharaoh's house, and the fame thereof was heard in Pharaoh's house, saying, Joseph's brethren are come. And it pleased Pharaoh well in his servants. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, say unto thy brother, thus do ye, let your beast, and go, get you unto the land of Canaan, and take your father and your households, and come unto me, and I will give you the good of the land of Egypt, and you should eat the fat of the land. Now thou art commanded this do ye. Take your wagons out of the land of Egypt for your little ones. Take your wagons out of the land of Egypt for your little ones and for your wives, and bring your father and come. This is what he's commanding. Also, regard not your stuff, for the good of all the land of Egypt is yours. So Pharaoh hears about Joseph's family is here. Pretty sure he was ecstatic because, here this young man is full of all this wisdom. I would love to meet his family. So the leaders were everyone was, the servants and everyone was pleased that this great leader family have arrived. Pharaoh would not hold anything back from Joseph. Joseph was a great deliverer. They had the spirit of Yehovah, spirit of wisdom of Yehovah. We have to understand that Joseph was a deliverer. He delivered not only his family, but Egypt and all the other surrounding areas from this great famine that was going to lead them to death. Whatever Joseph and his family needs, give it to them. Pharaoh encouraged Joseph to ensure that his family is well taken care of. There was no question about it. His family will be given the best of the land. When you go back to Canaan, you don't even need to pack anything. You don't even need those belongings, because I'm going to give you everything when you get back here. Everything will be provided for you. You will be in the good of the land. This is what Pharaoh is offering Joseph and his family. The Egyptians did have their discrimination against class, but many of them, I'm pretty sure, was thankful for what Joseph have done, because they wouldn't have made it. They would not have made it through without the Spirit of Yehovah leading Joseph in that leadership role that he was in. Verse 24. So he sent his brethren away, and they departed. And he said unto them, see that ye fall not out by the way. And they went up out of Egypt and came into the land of Canaan until Jacob, which is Israel, their father, and told him, saying, Joseph is yet alive, and he is governor over all the land of Egypt. And Israel's heart fainted, for he believed them not. And they told him all the words of Joseph, which he had said unto them. And when he saw the wagons which Joseph had sent to carry him, the spirit of Jacob, their father, revived. And Israel said, it is enough. Joseph, my son, is yet alive. I will go and see him before I die. This is all Israel needed. Just knowing that Joseph is alive encouraged him to continue to live because he wants to see him. He wants to make sure he gets to see him before he dies. Remember, he thought Joseph was dead. He thought he was torn by some wild beast or more beasts. He thought he was torn to pieces. Just knowing that Joseph sent the wagons, I'm sure he was overwhelmed by so many different emotions, excitement, happiness, joy. I'm pretty sure it's like, let me go. My son is alive. Let's get out of here. Let's go. When I read this for the first time, actually studying it and not just reading it, I was so happy for Joseph. I was so happy that he had this chance to see Joseph before he died. This is very important to Joseph because Israel was mourning for years for him. This is why he was holding onto Benjamin so tightly. After losing Rachel, remember Rachel was his favorite wife. All he had was Joseph and Benjamin to remember her by and hold on to her through them too. And his heart was crushed when he thought that he lost Joseph. Remember, Joseph was young. He was about 17 years old. So his heart was crushed. I'm sure that Israel felt some guilt because he the one that sent Joseph to go find his brothers to see what they were doing. So all of that was going on for 13 years, 14 years going on inside of him, mourning and guilt and anger, all this type of things that was going on with him. And my son's alive. Not only he's alive, but he's the governor of Pharaoh of Egypt. He's a lord to a father that rules over the house. I'm pretty sure. So here we have Joseph's dream that began when he was about 17 years old as a teenager, today as a teenager, to about 13 or 14 years later, everything comes together. This is now the father and everyone bow down to him because they know who he is. All that comes together. So all this is about Jehovah's timing. No one could have lined this up, put this together, and the perfect timing of everything but Yehovah. This is the psalmist in Psalms 27. When I was reading on this and studying on this, this is what came to me. Psalms 27, verse 13 to 14. Still, I am certain to see the goodness of Yehovah in the land of the living. Wait patiently for Yehovah. Be strong and courageous. Wait patiently for Yehovah. This is what we have to do. We have to be patient for the things that he shows us, the things that he prophesies to us. Some people get prophecies and some people get dreams. We have to hold on to those things and wait patiently on him. Everything is lining up just the way he wants it to line up. You might not like the way it's lining up. I'm pretty sure Joseph did not like that his brothers sold him, did not like that he was sold into slavery, did not like that he ended up in jail. I'm pretty sure all of that he did not like, but it was building so much into him, getting prepared for the position that Yehovah was going to put him in. Like I said, we might not like the way things are going, but if Yehovah has showed you something, wait. It will come to pass. Don't forget to join me on Saturday at 10 o'clock a.m., we will be in the book of Judges. And on Sunday at 10 o'clock a.m., it's a double Sabbath. So we will be doing the 8th day, that teaching, that message on Sunday. So that's Saturday and Sunday at 10 o'clock a.m. And I'm hoping that you will most definitely join me. As always, man does not live by bread alone, but every word that proceeds out of the mouth of Yehovah. Thank you, and may Yehovah bless you.